the history of Kenya up to 2015. In the fight for the struggle of independence of Kenya, there was a formation of trade unions. So allow me to read. So in 1952, there was a formation of Kenya Federation of Registered Trade Union, which was under Tomboya and was in close relationship with the US government and the CIA. And because of its reaction to the colonial powers, some Kenyan workers decided to form another trade union, which is the Kenyan Trade Union Congress. So the formation of these trade unions led the government to forming a ministerial committee under the chairmanship of the late Julius Ikoyo Kiano to bring the two unions together in 1965. You would have thought that bringing this together will ensure representation of the workers equally in the country. However, this was not the case because the formation of the Central Organization of Trade Unions did not assist the workers as it should have. The government did this in order to tactfully confuse the disenchanted workers and lead them to believe that the newly formed organization was going to take care of their interests. What that relates to today is we have voted in members of parliament, we have voted in governors and senators who are supposed to represent the interests of the people. And we have seen that the interests of the people have not been considered at all. So the first thing I would like to commend the Senate and the National Assembly for public participation. However, I would like to call out the fact that public participation is on selected topics. There are certain topics that public participation was necessary and it was not done. So as much as we are commending you for allowing the public to come here, there are things that have not been done. Next, I would like to address the Senator of Nandi. The President has been comparing Kenya to developed countries such as the United States, and I ask you this. If we are being compared to the United States in certain matters such as education, agriculture and all that, how is it that you have gone overseas and you have been to, what do they call them benchmarking? You have been to a benchmarking in the let's say the United States. You have seen that they do this for 4 years. They are the members that represent the public are elected for 4 years. Why is it that you compare us to them in certain matters, but in other matters you choose to do your own things? What do you think 7 years will do to the country? We have seen in the 2 years that the President, William Samoei Ruto, has been president, we have seen rampant corruption, we have seen extrajudicial killings, which have nobody has been arrested for any extrajudicial killings, nobody has been booked, nobody has been taken into consideration. So we are asking this, if we have given you 2 years and that is what has happened, what will happen if we give you 7 years? Isn't this going to become a dictatorship like Uganda? Isn't William Samoei Ruto going to try and continue changing clauses in the constitution that favor him and the people who are close to him? We have also witnessed state capture, where we have seen members of the Senate and members of the National Assembly complaining that people are being paid to go and vote for this motion and this motion. Why should we support an increment of terms for these people? Next, what we should do, instead of increasing the term limits to 7 years, we should reduce them, if possible, to 4 years, and reduce the powers of the members of parliament. Because I asked some of my friends a question. If I am a professor, I am not a professor, but a professor who has studied for over 20 years is supposed to be, the laws that are supposed to govern that professor are coming from someone who dropped out in class 6. What sense does that make? How do they expect the laws that are being made by such a person to push the country's agenda forward? The last but not least, the appointment of the office of the Prime Minister. We as the Gen Z, we have been against certain unconstitutional offices. The office of the spouses, we have rejected said offices. Why do you think we are going to accept the office of the Prime Minister. This is a very trivial matter. This is a matter that does not, in fact, this is, no offense, but this is a waste of our time. As Kenyans, we should be discussing how to deal with corruption. We should be discussing healthcare. We should be discussing the education system in Kenya. We did not elect you to go to the Senate to increase your term limits. And increasing the amount of money from 15% to 40%. What have you done with the 15%? Have you done anything considerable with the 15% before we increase it to the 40%? I will leave you with a quote from the Bible. Jesus told his disciples, he who has more shall be added unto him. He who has little, the little that he has will be taken away from him. You have been given 15%. What have you done with it? If you have senator, have the roads in your county.
Na mtazamaji, hao ni Wakenya ambao wanaendelea kutoa maoni yao katika jumba la KICC hapa jijini Nairobi kuhusiana na kuongeza muhula wa kuhudumu kwa viongozi tofauti kuanzia rais. Basi tukisonga kwa gavana, maseneta, wawakilishi wanawake, wabunge na vile vile wawakilishi wadi. Ni siku ya mwisho ya kutoa maoni hayo mtazamaji. Basi tutakuwa tunaondoka KICC tuelekee Mombasa. Na mtazamaji, basi maandalizi yote ya mtihani wa KPSEA yameng'oa nanga nchini, huku shule mbalimbali mtazamaji zikijiandaa kwa mtihani huo wa kitaifa utakaoanza siku ya Jumatatu. Kwa mengi zaidi tuungane na mwanahabari Boniface Msangi akiwa Mombasa atujuze kuhusiana na matayarisho yanayoendelea katika kaunti hiyo. Basi kama unanipata